camera is in a strange place. You know, very occasionally I do remember to fix the camera before I start streaming, but more often what happens is that I suddenly last minute remember, oh yes, it is time to stream, and then prioritize putting on this stream starting soon screen over getting the camera right beforehand. Obviously this is a choice I have made and will continue to be a theme. Okay, where's the game? Alright. There we go. Okay. I should probably go get water, but I'll wait till I need it. Alright. And so begins Chapter 5 of Waltz's Route. Alright, it's Chapter 5, To Protect. The man starts walking towards us slowly. Oh right, Varg. Varg showed up at the end of last chapter. Alright. The man starts walking towards us slowly. Waltz moves to stand in front of me. Waltz. Princess, stay close to me. Man. Good evening, Princess Lucette. And a good evening to you too, Peter Pan. Waltz. Shocked. The man drops into an elegant bow. Man. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Varg. Waltz. What do you want, Varg? How do you know who we are? Varg. I'd love to stay and chat, but I have more important things to do. The princess is coming with me. Varg takes one long stride towards us. He taps the cane he is holding onto the ground. A surge of light emanates from the cane, then flares out towards us. Waltz. Princess, go back to the Marchen! Hurry! Waltz darts toward Varg before I can stop him. Varg raises his cane and twists it in one sharp movement. The light abruptly changes direction and slams into Waltz's side, throwing him some distance away. Lucette. Waltz! Before I can step away, Varg has lifted me into his arms. He grins at me, almost wolfishly, before darting away from Waltz. Lucette. No! Waltz. Princess! Now, on the plus side, I will say, I think it's maybe not actually a bad thing for Varg to succeed in capturing her, because we know from previous runs that the thing Waltz needs to break his curse is in Lucette's room at the palace. And if Varg kidnaps her and brings her to the palace, it might be a good step on resolving Waltz's curse. Lucette. Let me go! Varg. No can do, princess. I let you go and things will get messy. Lucette. What do you want from me? Are you a... I cannot even say the word. My blood runs cold as I consider the situation. Lucette. Hello, Johnny! Things are exciting. Varg has kidnapped Lucette right in front of Waltz, who got blasted away. Lucette. Are you a witch? Varg. That I am not. Thank you for lurking, Johnny. Lucette. And you expect me to believe you? You just used magic back there. Varg. I guess I did. Lucette. Let me go! I squirm in his arms, attempting to kick and push him away from me. Varg abruptly stops with a grunt to let me down. Lucette, thinking to herself, this is my chance! I start to bolt away from him, but he quickly grabs my wrist and pulls me back. Varg. Not so fast. Lucette. Get your hands off of me! Varg. I'm not here to hurt you, princess. Lucette. After what you did to Waltz? He leans in towards me until he can look me in the eyes. Varg. Well, he was in the way. Besides, it's not like I killed him. Varg begins walking again, this time pulling me with him. I try to break away from his iron grip, but fail. Lucette. Where are you taking me? Varg. Back to where you truly belong. If there's one thing I've learned from the fairy tales, it's that a princess belongs in the palace. I am unable to stop the gasp that leaves my lips. He stops and turns to me. Varg. You've been away from home for far too long, princess. Don't you want to go back? Lucette. Thinking to herself. I do want to go home, but I am not welcome there anymore. At least, not while I am still cursed. Man. Release her! Varg releases me just in time to block a sword strike that comes out of the darkness of the trees. Karma, I'm guessing. Yep. Varg. How annoying. Man. I could say the same thing about you. I back away as the two trade blows. Varg uses his cane to defend himself against the man that just emerged from the trees. Lucette thinking to herself. That man. He's the one who was with Waltz, the man with the sword that helped save me from the bandits all those months ago. There is something graceful in the way the man moves as he swings his sword at Varg. He almost looks like he is dancing. The stranger continues swiping the sword, eventually gaining enough leverage to force Varg back. He moves so quickly that it takes all of Varg's reflexes simply to block his slashes. It is an interesting question. Who is more talented? Like, I assume Varg has the same level of skill that Fritz does with a sword. Yeah, like, if you're watching this, you should be prepared for spoilers for all other routes. One sec. Sorry. Alright. So, yes. This is my 5th run and the final route of the game, so spoilers abound. But yes, so yes, I feel like it's reasonable to assume that Varg has all of Fritz's skill, and we know Fritz is an incredibly skilled swordsman, but we also know Karma is an incredibly skilled swordsman, so it is an interesting question, which of them is actually better? Maybe they are equally matched. Lucette thinking to herself, they're so fast. Varg takes a few steps back and keeps a safe distance from the stranger. Varg. Impressive. The man gives Varg a lopsided smile as he points his sword at him, the two of them temporarily frozen as they each wait for the other to move first. Man. You're not too bad yourself. Lucette thinking to herself. Wait, is that... Now that he has stopped and I have a better look at him, I can see that the stranger's features are uncannily similar to Karma's. Lucette thinking to herself. Karma? But is it really him? Waltz. Princess, are you okay? I turn my head to see Waltz and Delora rushing towards me. Lucette. How did you find me? Waltz. Delora used her magic to track you down. Thankfully no other witches beat us here. Waltz halts in front of me while Delora advances towards the two men. Delora. So, what do we have here? Varg. Delora, right? Can't say that it's a pleasure to meet you. I have to compliment you all. You did an impressive job hiding the princess from us. It took a while to finally track her down. Finding your so-called tavern was difficult, you know? But I got lucky. Lucette thinking to herself. How does he know about the tavern? Aww. Lucette. It's because he's Fritz, and Fritz came to the tavern. No sooner are the words out of Varg's mouth that the swordsman is suddenly upon him again, posed to attack. Varg blocks his sword a second too late and is forced to back away, clutching his now bloody arm. Man. You talk too much. Varg. Sorry, I shouldn't have forgotten my manners in front of royalty. Man, shocked. Varg's gaze turns to Delora, a smirk somehow still on his face despite his injury. Varg. You have quite an interesting bunch with you, witch. How about joining us instead? We could always use more witches like yourself. Delora. Thanks, but no thanks. Varg. Too bad. Varg turns to look at me. He holds out a hand and gestures me towards him. Varg. Come with me, princess. You know you don't belong here. I clench my hands into fists as I shake my head. Varg. Your mother won't be very happy with your decision, princess. Especially after all she's done to make sure you'll be a suitable heir. Lucette. Mother? What are you talking about? But Varg ignores me as he raises his cane. Varg. Sorry to leave the party so quickly, but I'll be back soon enough for you, princess. Next time, whether you like it or not, you'll be coming with me. Delora. I'm not done with you! Delora throws her hands out, beginning to gather light in her palms, but Varg has already brought his cane down on the ground. Thick smoke envelops the area, making my eyes water. When the smoke clears, Varg is gone. Delora huffs in annoyance as she lowers her arms back down to her sides. Delora. To think that those witches are using a human to do their dirty work. Man. What was that cane he was carrying? I look up at the stranger, who has sheathed his sword and is walking towards where Waltz, Delora, and I are standing. Delora. It's an enchanted item. That cane has been infused with a spell that allows Varg to use magic. Limited magic, but powerful enough to make him dangerous. Man. Well, it is far easier for a human to explore the kingdom without anyone getting suspicious. The stranger stands close enough for me to get a proper look at his face. I can no longer deny the resemblance I saw earlier. Lucette, out loud. Karma, is that really you? Karma, shocked. You have good eyes, darling. Lucette, thinking to herself. So this is what Karma looks like as a man. Why does he need to disguise himself as a woman? I open my mouth to ask the question when I am interrupted by Waltz's hand on my shoulder. Waltz. Are you hurt anywhere? I turn to Waltz and freeze when I notice the dried blood on his forehead. Lucette. You are bleeding! Waltz. I'll be fine. I step back and realize that Waltz is standing oddly, favoring one leg to the other. Lucette, thinking to herself. Varg must have badly hurt him. Alright, I'm gonna go with you shouldn't have come here as it feels too harsh, so we're gonna try, we have to go back now. I frown as I study Waltz's wound. Lucette. We have to go back to the Marchen now. You need to have your wounds checked. Waltz. This is nothing. I'm just glad you're not hurt. Lucette. Stop worrying about me. You're the one in need of medical attention. I cannot keep the edge from my voice when I speak. Waltz's expression falls. Waltz. I'm sorry, princess. I didn't mean to. Ugh. Sorry, that was more of an ugh of disgust when it was actually supposed to be an ugh of pain. Ugh! Waltz's expression suddenly twists as he doubles over, his eyes glazed in pain. Lucette. Waltz! Delora catches one of Waltz's arms, supporting him as she turns to address both Karma and I. Delora. We should return to the Marchen. Rumple needs to see to Waltz's injuries. Lucette. Rumple? Delora. I'll explain everything once we're back. Hopefully everything includes the stuff about her mother, but we'll see. Delora calls for Rumple as soon as we arrive at the Marchen. When Rumple enters the reception area, he is clearly distraught by Waltz's injuries. Rumple. What happened? Delora. Heal first, explain later. I expect Rumple to object, and am surprised when he does nothing more than nod. Carefully, Rumple leads Waltz back to his room so he can be treated. Delora looks in the direction Rumple and Waltz have gone with a thoughtful look on her face. Delora. We're lucky that we have Rumple here with us. Annis is good with herbs and small wounds, but Rumple has experience with more serious injuries. Lucette. Experience? What are you talking about? Delora. Remember his curse? Rumple is not the only one who does not remember who he is. None of the townsfolk remember his name either. Lucette. What about those with the curse? Shouldn't they at least still be able to remember his name? Delora. Rumpel is an exception to the rule, as he is with many things. In his case, not a single person can remember his name. Funny thing is, they can still recognize him. He ran into someone who called him a doctor today. Even just hearing it brought a memory back. He's gotten one of the chapters of his journal back now. He is quite the proficient doctor. Lucette thinking to herself. He collects his journal pages by retrieving memories from others that still remember him. What a strange curse. My eyes wander around the reception area, and I notice that someone is missing. Lucette. Where is Karma? Delora. Don't worry about him. He's probably changing now. Lucette thinking to herself. I do not understand why Karma is so secretive about his reasons for wearing a disguise. I am about to ask Delora if she knows any of the specifics of Karma's curse when the door to the reception area is thrown open. Annis. Princess! Lucette, shocked. I am surprised when Annis suddenly throws her arms around me. She pulls me into a tight hug. Annis. I was so worried about you. Thank goodness you're safe. She pulls away and begins to wipe at tears that have sprung to her eyes. Lucette. Why are you crying? Annis. Because I was worried about you, silly. Lucette, thinking to herself. She was really so worried she'd cry? Why? I am intensely aware of the awkwardness of the situation. Lucette. Thank you for worrying about me. Annis, shocked. I had thought the words might do something to ease her worry, but her sobbing only grows louder. Lucette. Annis? Annis. I'll get you something warm to drink. I think she's just I think Annis is just emotionally overwhelmed, and like, Lucette thanked me, is probably causing her to be more emotional. I stare off after Annis before I turn to look at Delora worriedly. Lucette. Did I say the wrong thing? Delora. Quite the opposite, actually. You made her very happy. Lucette. I did? But she was crying. Delora. They're called tears of joy, princess. I'd be overwhelmed too if you were suddenly nice to me. Miracles tend to bring people to tears. Lucette. Silence. I just said thank you. Delora. And that was a kindness in and of itself. No wonder she's so happy. Lucette thinking to herself. I was being kind? Delora. And congratulations, princess! I see that you've managed to complete your first good deed. My hand moves instinctively to my pendant. I clutch at the new piece that hangs there. Delora. I knew you could do it. Delora smiles warmly. For some reason, it makes me feel strangely proud. Parfait walks into the room, startling us both. It has been 2 weeks since I last saw her. Her face is ashen. Delora. Parfait! You know that continuously using your magic takes a toll on your body. Parfait. I have no choice. The witches... Her voice trails off as her eyes meet Delora's. Parfait and Delora look at each other solemnly. The tension in the room mounts as they continue to stare at each other without uttering a word. Eventually, Parfait's eyes wander to me. Parfait. Yes! Man, I'm impressed that Parfait is the one to suggest that, okay, no, but what if we actually tell Lucette? I'm used to her being very slow to take action. Parfait. Keeping her in the dark won't make this situation any better, Delora. Parfait moves towards me, but her knees buckle. Before I can react, Delora is already at her side, supporting her. Delora. Parfait, you need to rest. I'll take care of this. Parfait. No, she needs to hear this from both of us. Delora. Silence. Lucette. What is going on? Parfait. We wanted to tell you about this later, but we can no longer afford to wait. Delora helps Parfait to a chair. I tentatively take a seat opposite the two of them. Parfait. We're going to tell you the whole truth of this situation. Lucette, thinking to herself. The whole truth? Delora sighs before she eventually speaks. Delora. Do you know why I cursed you, princess? Lucette. Some twisted sense of mischief? Delora. That's not the whole reason. Amazing. Sorry, I'm just like, amazing. Delora admits twisted sense of mischief is part of the reason. Delora. We needed you to change your ways, princess. To change how you see the world. If we didn't do something, you were going to end up as merciless and cold-hearted as your mother. Lucette. What are you talking about? My eyes go to Parfait, but she doesn't meet my gaze. Parfait. Hildir, your mother, was not always so cruel. Parfait's eyes look wet, as if she is about to cry. Lucette. Why are you speaking as if you knew her? Parfait. She was my friend. Long before she was the queen, Hildir was like a sister to me. But she changed when the witch hunt started. Lucette. What does the witch hunt have to do with mother? Parfait does not meet my eyes, but Delora is looking right at me. Delora. Your mother was a witch, Lucette. The most powerful of the witches, in fact. Hildir was the Tenebrarum bearer. My heart drops into the pit of my stomach. Lucette. No, that is impossible! I have never seen her use magic. She cannot be a witch. Delora. That's what she wanted you to believe. Lucette. You cannot keep something like that a secret. Delora. If you try hard enough, you can keep anything a secret. Even from your own family. Lucette. But how? Delora pauses for a long moment before she speaks. Delora. She erased your memories, Lucette. The air leaves my lungs as I struggle to remain calm. Lucette, thinking to herself. Waltz said that Mother ordered my memories to be erased, but... Are they saying that it was Mother herself who erased my memories? Jagged pieces of memory and thought begin to snap together in my mind. Delora. She needed you obedient and compliant. Whenever you acted out, she took that memory of disobedience from you. And it didn't take long at all to mold you into her perfect and unquestioning little doll. I grip my dress without realizing. My hands are shaking. Lucette, thinking to herself. Then I did know Waltz. Mother really did erase my memories of him. How much of my childhood did I lose? Parfait. Hildir cherished humans before. She was kind and selfless. She was devoted to maintaining the balance between the Lucis and the Tenebrarum. But Hans... Yeah, what the fuck is up with Hans, anyway? Finally, we are going to learn a little more about this fairy tale writing asshole. Delora moves to place a gentle hand on Parfait's shoulder. Delora. It's not your fault. Parfait. I trusted him too much. He swore that they would only be stories, small fantasies to share with his children. Hildir wanted to turn him away, but I disagreed. I allowed Hans to weave his tales about witches and fairies. Oh, I see. Yeah, no. Okay, I get it. It is Hildir... I mean, so it's the Kingdom of Angiel is, like, I think the only kingdom with all this magic. So it sounds like Hans, the fairy tale writer, showed up in the kingdom and is like, hi, I want to write fairy tales! And Parfait, being the fairy, was like, oh, I don't see the harm. He says it's just for his kids, right? Whereas Hildir is like, I don't like the way he's writing about witches, and I have a real bad feeling about this. And Parfait, this is how I'm interpreting it. Parfait was like, oh, it's fine. And Hildir was like, I don't think it's fine. But okay, I trust you, Parfait. And then it went horribly, horribly wrong. As Hans's fairy tales got incredibly popular, everyone started to believe witches were inherently evil, and the witch hunts began. And then Parfait took a very long time to intervene. Lucette. The fairy tales? Delora nods. Anyway, that is how I am, that is what I understand. That is how my brain processing all of the information we have given so far, and what I think happened. But let's continue and see how the characters describe it. Delora. Hans's fairy tales became hugely popular, and in practice, every single one of his stories, it was a witch who was bad, and a fairy who was good. To add insult to injury, it was well known that Hans had been welcomed by the Lucis Bearer, but not by the Tenebraro Bearer. The humans took that information, and their imaginations ran wild. Parfait. Hildir and I went to Hans to beg him to tell the truth, but it was too late. No matter what Hans said, everyone believed that he was being threatened by the witches. I don't think he ever meant for things to get so out of hand either. Well then, he should have thought about it before he wrote witches as intrinsically evil. Sorry. Yeah, no, I am kind of on team fuck that guy. Maybe if you don't take an entire group of peoples and villainize them, the society wouldn't villainize them either. And this is why people get so upset about fictional works that are shitty and racist. Because the thing is, media and works of fiction, they absolutely can influence society big time. And that's what happened in this world. And I mean, influence society for better or for worse. And in this case, it happened in this world very much for worse. It was like accidental propaganda. Oh well. Parfait. Well, okay. Actually, no, not oh well. More like, sigh, it sucked. Parfait. When the king at the time, your grandfather, also voiced his negative opinion on witches, he only added fuel to the fire. It was as if he was giving humans permission to carry on with their witch genocide. Delora. And we could do nothing to defend ourselves. We were bound by our oath to never hurt a living soul. The witch hunt lasted for years. Most of us were slaughtered. All witches are bound to the Tenebraro Bearer through the Tenebrarum itself. Hildir felt each of the deaths like it was her own. Parfait. It drove her mad. Of fucking course it did! There was a literal, genocide of the witches, and she felt literally every death. That's gonna drive someone batshit crazy. We should not be surprised that Hildir went hardcore evil, because, that messes with something. I know in a lot of the previous runs I've been like, okay, yeah, all that happened, and then the Tenebrarum kind of consumed her, but now I'm like, no, it's not just that the Tenebrarum consumed her. She also legit broke. On a deep and fundamental level, her mind and spirit broke from how horrifying that was. I almost feel like there are definitely routes in which this game has kind of freaking glossed over how horrific the witch genocide was. Genocides are really fucking bad, as it turns out. It doesn't excuse Hildir's later actions, but it sure gives me a hell of a lot of sympathy for her. Alright, well anyway. So. Delora. Hildir felt each of the deaths like it was her own. Oops. Parfait. It drove her mad, Delora, and she broke our oath. She killed the king, your grandfather. Oh, I was always kind of wondering who she killed. I thought she would have killed Hans, but I guess she killed the king. Which, I mean, legit, if he was freaking condoning the witch genocide, I can see why she would have decided to take matters into her own hands. Unfortunately, that just was not probably was not enough to actually stop the problem. Lucette, thinking to herself, Mother killed my grandfather? Delora. As Hildir's power kept growing, more and more good witches were corrupted through her influence on the Tenebrarum. Parfait. I tried to stop her, but she was already lost to reason. Delora. Hildir wanted to take Angiel for the witches. She wanted to take revenge on the humans for what they had done to all of us. And since your father was next in line, Hildir forced Gennaro to marry her so that she would have a legitimate claim to the throne. Wait, was that? Yes. And she did it even though she knew he loved another woman. The very woman who sits on the throne today. Lucette. Ophelia? Delora nods. Lucette, thinking to herself. The king has always loved Ophelia? Delora. Hildir created the fairy tale curse to punish the humans. She wanted to fuel the Tenebrarum with their hatred and anger. Parfait's voice becomes very soft. Parfait. The balance between dark and light was lost. While Hildir lived, Angiel was a place of grief. I can feel an impending headache coming. Lucette. But even if what you're saying is true, Mother is dead. She's been dead for 4 years. Parfait. She is. But for some reason, the witches are becoming more active. Garland and Jurian's patrols have confirmed this. Lucette, thinking to herself. Patrols? Is that why they disappear at night? Parfait. I had to cast glamour on you so that the other witches would be unable to recognize you as the princess. But it seems that they've already seen through your glamour. Delora. They're looking for you, princess. The witches are looking for you. Lucette, shocked. What? Why? Parfait. The Tenebrarum needs a bearer. A witch needs to take on that role, and regulate the balance between the Lucis and the Tenebrarum. Delora. For the past few years, it's been in a state of hibernation. We believe Hildir infused her life into the Tenebrarum to keep it stable. But now, the Tenebrarum is beginning to wake again. Parfait. We believe that's why so many people are being cursed lately. The witches are preparing for their new bearer. Delora turns to me with an expression I cannot quite read. Delora. They only have to wait until you're 18. You know what else I had never considered? I've always thought that the curse that they put on Lucette was too harsh, but I still think in some ways it was. But I wonder if this was also, if another ulterior motive Delora had was to force Lucette out of the castle, essentially. Of course, that doesn't really work in Rod's route because she spends most of the route in the castle, but on the other hand, they probably had, they glamored her up, they had people watching her and all that, so. Lucette, shocked. The air in the room seems to disappear all at once. Parfait. Princess, on your 18th birthday, your curse will break regardless of whether you complete your 3 good deeds. And you will become the Tenebrarum bearer. You will inherit that title and that power from your mother. Lucette. Impossible! My heart is racing and I feel faint. Lucette. Even if Mother was a witch, I can't use magic at all! Delora. All halflings like you inherit their magic at 18. Lucette. No! I am human! Parfait. Princess! Delora's expression is grim as she speaks. Delora. We've been watching over you for a long time, Lucette. We know what sort of influence your mother had on you. The curse was a test. We needed to know that you wouldn't return Angiel to what it was when your mother was queen. Parfait. We can't allow another great war to tear Angiel apart. Delora and I believe that there is still goodness left in you. You just needed a wake-up call, thus the curse and the 3 good deeds. We wanted you to see what you hadn't in years, to be exposed to the true reality of things. Delora. And above all, we needed to see that you were capable of 3 good deeds. I attempt to grasp the fleeing thoughts in my mind, but to no avail. I feel numb. Delora. That's it. No more secrets. Parfai's voice is gentle when she speaks to me. Parfait. The future of this kingdom is in your hands. Delora. Will you follow your mother's footsteps, or will you achieve the same balance that we had before? Alright, I'll be right back. I need to refill my water. That thing that I didn't do at the beginning of the stream. Alright. Alright, I am returned, and the game vanished because it's currently full screen, and clicking off of it made it go away. Oh no, come back, game. There we go. Alright, back with my nicely refilled water. So yeah, that was a huge plot dump. And the best explanation they have given Lucette of the situation in all 5 runs. I mean, yes, of course, this is the one where, like, the most secrets are revealed, and it's the final run, the true root and all that, but still. There is a part of me that's just like, I know it was for story reasons, but y'all could have been clearer with Lucette in the other runs, too. Would have been nice. No matter how much I try, I am unable to sleep after my talk with Delora and Parfait. Lucette, thinking to herself, Mother was a wicked witch, and I am the next bearer of the Tenebrarum. It all makes sense now. So many people hated me because they thought I would be just like Mother. I feel the weight of that truth crash down on me, and it is suffocating. Lucette, thinking to herself, what am I supposed to do now? I turn to my side and bring my knees to my chest. Lucette, thinking to herself, how do I know what the truth is anymore? Suddenly, an idea occurs to me. There is one other person who might know the truth. Lucette, thinking to herself, Waltz. I wonder how he is doing. I slip out of my room and make my way towards Waltz's. Waltz is sound asleep when I push the door to his room open. Lucette, thinking to herself, he looks so small on the bed. I pause to look at the hefty amount of herbs lying on the table. Lucette, thinking to herself, those herbs. I remember Annis once told me that they help with pain. Rumpel and Annis have given Waltz a lot of them. Thoughts about the truth of my mother retreat to the back of my mind as I remember the encounter with Varg. Lucette, thinking to herself, Waltz would never have gotten hurt if it wasn't for me. My eyes begin to sting. Alright. Oh, shoot. Wait. I don't think I ever got the right choice indicator for the other one. So let's go back and fix that real quick. Alright, so I think if we do skip, it'll bring me to the first choice. I will skip ahead to the next one, after we determine this. Yeah, no, let's see how you shouldn't have come here goes. Because, like, I thought we have to go back now would be, like, showing Lucette was worried about him. But, well, I just don't remember seeing the choice indicator, so... Alright, let's try this. Basically, so Lucette says you shouldn't have come. Waltz. I had to. It's my fault Varg got to you in the first place. Waltz forces a smile, but I can see the sadness in his eyes. Waltz. I couldn't protect you at all. I'm so sorry. Lucette. Why do you keep worrying about me? I'm not even hurt. What if something happens to you? Waltz smiles. He tries, with great effort, to mask his pain. There we go. Okay. I guess it's because it was more obvious that she was worried about him? Waltz. I'm happy that you're worried about me, princess. It doesn't matter what happens to me, so long as you aren't hurt. Lucette. How can you say that? Waltz. Yeah, okay, and then that's him being in pain, and then there's the big plot dump of, oh hey, your mother was the worst of all the witches after she went crazy because of the... Right, so now we're gonna try again with this choice. I think it's better for her to not... I mean, also not just for Lucette, generally speaking, if you are emotionally overwhelmed, it is okay to cry. And I think that Lucette was taught by her mother that you shouldn't ever cry, and that's a problem. And I think that she should learn to let herself cry. For the first time in years, I let my tears flow freely. I do not even know why I am crying, and I find myself talking aloud. Lucette. You said that crying doesn't make a person weak, but it certainly makes me feel that way. Waltz. You're not weak, princess. That's a good one. Good CG. Lucette. Waltz? Thinking to herself. When did he wake up? Waltz. You're the strongest person I know. Waltz's voice is soft and his words are slurred. He is clearly still under the influence of the medication he's been given, but he still continues to speak. Waltz. Despite everything you've gone through, you're still standing on your own 2 feet. Lucette, thinking to herself. I cannot lie anymore. Out loud. I have only been pretending to be a strong person. But I cannot do this anymore, knowing that all this time I have been living a life full of lies. I am questioning even my mother's affections now. Another dangerously gloomy thought hangs at the brink of my mind. Lucette. If Mother did not care about me, then that means no one did at all. Waltz. I do. I care about you, Lucette. I was pretty sure that one would be the correct choice. Waltz's voice begins to grow weak as his eyes flutter closed. Lucette. You're tired, Waltz. You should sleep. Waltz. Lucette. His voice is slurred and slow, but hearing him say my name without the title somehow feels nostalgic. Waltz. Please don't cry, little star. Waltz closes his eyes, finally surrendering to sleep. I take a deep breath and leave his room, closing the door quietly behind me. Yay! She finally unlocked a memory of him! Oh, I've been waiting for this. Wait, one sec, I just want to turn on my sun lamp. It went off. Oof. I'm so happy. Because, like, the implication has been that these flashbacks are all memories that she has, like, that she unlocks from, like, the memories that were erased. So I've been, like, waiting this whole route for her to unlock memories of her with Waltz. So I'm happy that it finally has happened. Young Lucette. Again! Boy. Okay. Abracadabra! Young Lucette. Teach me how to do it too! Boy. A magician never reveals his secret, little star. Young Lucette. You always say that! Please! Just this one. Please, Waltz? Waltz. Silence. Waltz. On your birthday. I'll teach you how to do it on your birthday. Young Lucette. Promise? Waltz. Promise. Yay! Oh, I guess him calling her the childhood nickname he had for her unlocked a memory. I wake slowly, the dream somehow still clear in my mind. Lucette thinking to herself. A dream about Waltz? Was that a memory? I shake my head before I glance at the clock, stopping to stare at the time. Lucette thinking to herself. How is it already this late? Waltz. Princess? Lucette. Waltz? The door opens and Waltz walks inside with a tray of food. He sets it down by my bedside as I stare at him in shock. Waltz, you're finally awake. Lucette. Waltz, you are supposed to be in bed. Waltz. I'm only injured, not an invalid, princess. Lucette. But... Waltz. I'm fine, princess. It's not like you to worry so much. I respond to his smile with an exasperated sigh. Lucette, thinking to herself. He will never heal properly if he does not stay in bed. Waltz. Here, I wanted to give this to you yesterday. Waltz reaches behind his back and pulls out a neatly wrapped box. It looks as if he pulls it out of thin air. Lucette, thinking to herself. Another magic trick? He hands me the wrapped box. Lucette. What's this? Waltz. You'll need to open it to find out. Yay! I knew it would happen eventually. Like, it was very clear when she kept staring at that one doll that she really loved that eventually, at some point during the story, Waltz would buy it for her. Lucette. This is... Waltz. You've been wanting this, haven't you? I don't know, that felt a little weird. I'm gonna try rereading that. You've been wanting this, haven't you? I stare down at the doll he bought for me. It is the same one that caught my eye at the shop. Lucette. The reason we went to the toy shop was so that you could buy this for me? Waltz. Yep. I'm glad it didn't get damaged last night. My chest tightens with emotion. Lucette, thinking to herself. These dolls are expensive. Waltz would have needed more than just his usual show tips to buy this. Out loud. Why would you buy this for me? Waltz. I figured you might want the extra company. Plus, you've always loved dolls, so I thought this one might cheer you up. I stare at the doll as I cradle her in my arms, my heart feeling full in my chest. Lucette. Thank you. Thinking to herself. I have never gotten an unexpected gift like this before. Waltz clears his throat, and when I look up at him, I notice that his expression is somehow sad. Waltz. Lady Parfait told me that she and Delora told you the whole story yesterday. I have to apologize to you. Lucette. For what? Waltz. The reason why I didn't tell you earlier is because I asked that... Oh, the reason why they didn't... Okay, so it was Waltz's fault that they took so damn long to tell her. Come on, buddy. Alright, Waltz. The reason why they didn't tell you earlier is because I asked that they keep it a secret. I look down at the doll, my mouth suddenly dry. Lucette. Why? Waltz. Because I wanted you to enjoy having a normal life, even if it was just for a short time. Knowing the truth limits your freedom. Oh. I didn't want you to feel that pressure so soon. But I can see now that it was selfish of me to deprive you of the truth. I'm sorry. I can't believe he never apologizes to her in any other route, and it's always been his fault. I mean, maybe in other routes it wasn't. I don't know. I clutch tighter at the doll, unable to look up at Waltz. Lucette. Why would you be so kind without expecting anything in return? Waltz. Kindness doesn't always need to be paid back. Lucette. When you do something for someone, they will always expect the favor to be returned. That is what Mother taught me. From what I have experienced, no one is ever kind without expecting something in return. Waltz. I don't expect anything from you in return, Princess. Lucette. But how can I know for certain that you are speaking the truth? Waltz. Well, you can't. No matter what someone's true intentions are, their actions are always up for a different interpretation. So it'll be up to you to judge their actions. Only you can decide whether or not to believe in me. I pull my knees to my chest, curling up around the doll. Lucette. I still do not understand how you can be kind to me. You told me yourself it was the Tenebrarum bearer that cursed you. That means my mother... Waltz. Your mother was the witch that took away my magic and sealed it in Neverland, but that does not mean it is your fault that I am cursed. You are more than just Hildir's daughter, Princess. You are your own person, and I know for a fact that you are capable of more goodness than Hildir ever was. Do you mean than Hildir ever was after the witch hunts, or than Hildir ever was? Because everything I've heard is she was pretty good before the... Well, anyway, I guess it doesn't really matter. This is supposed to be an emotional moment between the two of them. Waltz gestures towards my necklace. Waltz, you're only 2 good deeds away from breaking your curse. Lucette, I would not have accomplished the first one without your help. In fact, I have done nothing to help break your... My voice trails off as my thoughts begin to come together. Lucette, Waltz, to break your curse, you need to find Tinkerbell and Neverland, right? What do they look like? Waltz. Finally! Oh my gosh, finally! That is a good question for Lucette to have asked. A very, very, very good question. Because now she can remember about the box in her room, and then they can sneak into the palace and get it. Waltz. Neverland is a gold box with a carving of wings on the top, and Tinkerbell is the matching key. I sit up abruptly. Lucette. We have to go to the palace! Sorry, that was probably a little too fast. I've been noticing that I've been, like, getting in the habit of talking too fast when I read things out loud, so I'm gonna try to work on that. Lucette. We have to go to the palace! Still too fast, but whatever. Waltz stares at me, his expression clearly perplexed. Waltz. What? Why? Lucette. Because I know where to find Tinkerbell in Neverland. Waltz's description of Neverland and Tinkerbell was enough to jog my memory. Okay, sure, but why are you coming in through the front gates? Like, if you just talk to Parfait, or Delora, or I guess Rod, there's so many people who know about the secret passage into the castle. And that would have been so much safer than just walking in through the gates. A long time ago, Mother gave me a box and a key that matched Waltz's earlier description perfectly. She gave me strict instructions to hide them in my room and to never let anyone else have them. Lucette, thinking to herself, I never questioned Mother's orders and kept both the box and the key tucked in one of my drawers. I'd forgotten I even had those things until Waltz mentioned them. Oh, okay, so she's getting Rod to help her into the palace. Okay, that's fair. But then, all the more reason Rod should have told her about the secret passage, but oh well. The minute I remembered, I sent a letter to Rod requesting he help us get into the palace. I knew that our strained relationship would make it hard for him to trust me, so I emphasized the importance of the item we needed to obtain. A week later, he finally came through. Now we are just outside the palace waiting for him. Durian and Garland are here to protect us in case the need arises. I glance at Waltz, who is standing beside me, fidgeting. He has been against me coming with him ever since he found out my plans. Lucette, thinking to herself, he cannot stop me. I refuse to be left behind. Waltz, you still won't change your mind about this, Princess? You know the situation with the witches. It's not safe for you to be here. Lucette, it is not safe for me anywhere outside of the Marchen, and you know that. Besides, how do you plan on finding Neverland and Tinkerbell without me? I am the only one who knows where they are. Waltz, like I said, if you would just tell me where they are, I can go on my own. There's no need for you to put yourself in this much danger. Lucette, I am going, and you cannot stop me, Waltz. Waltz, Princess. I turn to face him fully. Lucette, this is my choice, Waltz. I want to do this. For a moment, there is silence between us as Waltz studies my expression. He eventually sighs and shakes his head. Waltz, I should know by now that there's no changing your mind when you are determined to do something. Just promise to stay close to me, okay? I nod absently as I feel around in my pocket for a small object, a vial that Parfait gave to me before Waltz and I left for the palace. Lucette, thinking to herself. She said that it would help us when the need arises. It is a shame that neither Parfait nor Delora could be here due to their urgent meeting with the fairies. Jurian and Garland finally arrive with Rob. Jurian. Ready? I can only nod in reply. Lucette, thinking to herself. Hopefully nothing will go wrong. Okay, they are sneaking in through the passage. They just met at the gates. Okay, I feel better, because when they met at the gates of the palace, I was like, are they really just going in through the front door? And I'm very mollified to know that, in fact, no, they are not. We make our way through a secret passageway. Lucette, thinking to herself. I've heard of this secret passageway from the king before, but this is the first time I have ever been here. They say that this was built as an escape route should the need to evacuate the royal family arise. Only the commander of the Order of Caldera and the king know about this place. Well, and Parfait, and Rod, and Waltz. Maybe more people. Definitely Myth, I'm pretty sure. Lucette. Rod, how do you even know this place? How did you get a key? I thought that only the king and Sir Alcaster had copies. Rod. It was Lady Parfait who showed me this place and gave me the key. I can't leave the palace unattended on normal circumstances, so she suggested I go through here whenever I needed to get to the March End. Lucette. Then how was she able to get a copy of the key? Waltz. Silence. Rod. You should ask her that yourself. Anyway, you haven't even told me what you needed from your room. Lucette. It is an item that will break Waltz's curse. Rod. I see. Lucette. Why did it take you so long to respond to my letter? Rod. The palace has been on high alert since last week. Lucette. Why? Rod stops and looks at me. The hesitation is clear in his eyes. Waltz. Did something happen? Rod. A week ago, the king received a letter. A warning. Lucette. A letter? Rod. It said that 3 days from now, the king will be judged and convicted. His crown will be given to one more worthy. I stare at Rod with slow understanding. Lucette. 3 days from now? But that date... I'm guessing that's Lucette's birthday. Yep. Waltz. Your 18th birthday. I continue to stare at Rod in disbelief. Lucette, thinking to herself. This cannot be a coincidence. Out loud. But a new king? Do you think someone is specifically targeting my father? Jurian. We all know that the royals are always in danger. Rod. But this threat has made the king especially nervous. Lucette. Are the witches involved in this? The silence that falls within the tunnels is heavy. Rod. They think there's a good chance they must be. That's why the Order of Caldera has tightened security. We continue walking in silence. Eventually, Rod points at something ahead of us. Rod. Here we are. The dim light of the tunnel illuminates a rusted door that leads into the palace. Rod looks around warily while Waltz and I quickly duck into the shadows of a column. Rod. The guards will be doing their rounds on this side soon. We need to hurry. Lucette. Right. The hallways are thankfully quiet as we traverse them. Rod did a good job of scoping out the times of patrol. Eventually, we reach my room. I stop at the door to my room, suddenly overwhelmed by nostalgia. Lucette, thinking to herself. It has been so long since I have been in my room. Out loud. Is this Emmeline's room now? Rod. No. By the king's order, your room has been untouched since you were cursed. Lucette. Then, what has become of this room? I look at Rod in shock as he studies the door to my room with a complicated expression on his face. Rod. I think maids are sent in here to dust occasionally, but otherwise everything should be just as it was before. Lucette, thinking to herself. But why would the king keep the room as it is if he does not remember me? I turn back to the door thoughtfully, then glance at Rod. Lucette. We can handle the rest. You should leave before you draw any unwanted attention. I do not want to get you in trouble. Garland. Don't worry. We will figure out a way to get back to that passage without alerting anyone. Rod. Silence. Lucette. What? Rod. You've changed. Lucette. What do you mean by that? Rod. You never would have cared about someone else's safety before. Rod turns to leave before I can respond. Rod. Be careful. Lucette. Thank you. Jurian. Garland and I will stand outside. Make it quick. I nod at Jurian before turning back to the door and turning the knob. I glance at Waltz and he nods at me. I take a deep breath and open the door. Rod told me that my room had been untouched since I left, but I was not expecting it to be like this. Lucette, thinking to herself. Nothing has changed. Not a thing out of place. There is not even a speck of dust on the dolls on my shelves. Waltz. Lucette? I am confused as to why this room has been untouched. Certainly the king would have thought to do something else with it. Or, in the very least, he would not have maids coming in consistently to clean it. But I cannot let myself linger on the questions. I have no time for them. Lucette, thinking to herself. We came here to find Neverland and Tinkerbell. I look at Waltz and nod. Lucette. Let us start searching. Time passes, but I am only able to find the key. The box is nowhere to be found, not even in the drawer that I remember putting it in. Waltz. To think that you had Neverland and Tinkerbell this whole time. That definitely says Tinklerball. I'm pretty sure it's Tinkerbell, and that this is just a one-time typo. But still, Tinklerball. If I have been misreading it this whole time, that would be extremely funny. Is there like a log? No. Oh well, that's fine. Lucette. Actually, wait, I can just go back a little bit. Okay. Tinkerbell. Yes, yes. Okay. It is 100% supposed to be Tinkerbell. It's just for some reason in this one paragraph, it is written as Tinklerball. Wow. Lucette, have you tried searching for it in my room before? Waltz. I have, but I didn't find anything. She must have used a glamour magic to hide it from me. I stare at the key with frustration. Well, they got the key, but someone must have taken the box. Lucette. I don't understand. I am sure it was here. Waltz. Are you sure you didn't throw it away? Lucette. No, I would never throw away such a beautiful box. Besides, I keep most of my things. They are all valuable to me, even if they are not outwardly beautiful. Waltz. I wouldn't have believed you if I hadn't seen this. He leans down to pluck a puppet from one of my drawers. He holds it up with a smile, and I feel my cheeks heat in embarrassment. Aw, I bet that's an old puppet one of them made. Lucette. I just never remembered to throw that out. Waltz gazes at me thoughtfully. Waltz. That's the only reason? Lucette. Well, I look at the puppet in his hands and find the truth spilling out of me. Lucette. I was never able to put my finger on why, but I have always liked that puppet. A smile stretches across Waltz's face. Waltz. You kept it, even though I did such a bad job with the sewing. Lucette. What? You made this? Waltz. Yeah, this is the first puppet I ever made. Waltz turns the puppet in his hands, looking down on it fondly before his eyes meet mine. Waltz. You were the one who taught me how to sew in the first place, you know. Lucette. What? Thinking to herself. I was the one who taught him how to sew? I stare at the puppet. Out loud. I probably kept it because you made it. Waltz. How cruel. Lucette. Huh? Waltz. Do you have any idea what you're doing to my poor heart? Lucette. You seem perfectly fine to me. Waltz shakes his head and sighs. Lucette. Waltz? Waltz. So dense. Lucette. What? The knot begins to turn. Waltz and I exchange glances before we both dart to different hiding places. I hide myself under the bed, and he runs behind the curtains, which more easily conceal his smaller body. King Gennaro. Silence. Lucette, thinking to herself. The king? What is he doing here? When the king steps inside, I notice that there is something in his hands. Oh, he's got the box! Why does he have the box, though? Yes, Lucette, thinking the questions we all want to know. Lucette, thinking to herself. That's the box! But why does he have it? I look at Waltz and he gives me a small nod, affirming that it is indeed Neverland. Although, guys, if you can see each other, okay, sure, most people won't think to look under a bed unless they're looking for someone, but like, if Lucette can see Waltz well enough for him to nod at her, I worry about how well hidden he actually is. Well, Gennaro of all... Oh, I was about to say Gennaro of all people might not realize, but... King Gennaro. Who's there? Lucette, shocked. King Gennaro. Show yourself now if you don't want to get hurt. The king unsheathes his sword. Lucette, thinking to herself. What should we do? I look at Waltz, who signals to me to stay in place. He mouths something, and I think he might be saying that he means to find a way to get us out. Lucette, thinking to herself. Is Waltz going to sacrifice himself again? Will he be alright? Should I trust him? Oh, when you phrase it like that, I want her to reveal herself, but trusting Waltz seems like probably the right choice on the romance route, so we'll try it. I nod at Waltz. He steps out of the curtains and raises his hands in surrender. Waltz. Forgive me, Your Majesty. King Gennaro, shocked. I know you. You were Hildir's apprentice. Waltz, was it? I remember then that Waltz had worked for Mother, so naturally the king would know who he was. Waltz. It's been a while, Your Majesty. I'm honored you still remember me. King Gennaro. You haven't changed. Not at all. So Hildir really did curse you for betraying her. Lucette, thinking to herself. Betraying her? Betraying her how? The king places his sword back in its scabbard. King Gennaro. I have no idea what you are doing here now, but... The king surprises us both by getting down on one knee and bowing to Waltz. Waltz. Your Majesty, you shouldn't... King Gennaro. I was never able to thank you after the war, so thank you. You did so much for our kingdom, Waltz. So thank you. We owe you our lives. If only all witches were as good as you. The king stands once again, his posture stiff and straight. So interesting! I guess that means Waltz was a critical figure in taking down Hildir. Waltz. There are more of us than you think, Your Majesty. Lucette, thinking to herself. I am lost. What are they talking about? Waltz. But I didn't do it for the kingdom. Waltz turns to look at me suddenly, a small smile on his face. I did it for her. I am glad that trusting Waltz was in fact the right decision. It felt like it should be the right decision. King Gennaro. Her? Who are you talking about? Waltz nods his head at me. Waltz. It's all right, Lucette. Lucette. Silence. I slide out of my hiding place and stand in front of the king. It has been months since I last saw him. The king's eyes widen as he looks at me. King Gennaro. You're that girl from the gates. Lucette. You remember me? King Gennaro. It is more like I find it impossible to forget you. Lucette, thinking to herself. What? King Gennaro. I have a lot of questions for the two of you, but the most important is why you are both in this room. Regardless of the fact that I know you, Waltz, you have still broken into the palace. Lucette. We would not have done it if we did not have to. I steel myself for further scolding when the king turns to look at me. Lucette. That box you are holding. We need it to break Waltz's curse. Waltz. How did you come to have it, your majesty? The king looks down at the box, as if only noticing it for the first time. King Gennaro. I was in this room the other day and noticed a chip on the side of the box. I took it to get it fixed. Lucette, thinking to herself. A chip? I did drop it once a while back, but did not think to get it fixed myself. Out loud. Why would you do that? The king looks around the room, a faraway look in his eyes. King Gennaro. This room is special to me, though I do not know why. I feel like this room and I are both waiting for someone to return, and everything must be perfect for when they do. I feel my chest tighten, even as the king huffs out a derisive laugh. King Gennaro. What am I saying? Lucette, thinking to herself. He cannot miss me when he does not remember me. He can't. Right? King Gennaro. But if this box is all you require, Waltz, you may have it. Alright, key, box, right now, please. As soon as you have both in your hands, do the thing so we can have adult Waltz and I can be more excited about the romance path. Like, I've been excited about the romance path, but I haven't, like, been able to view them romantically until Waltz is, like, physically aged back up to his proper age. King Gennaro. It is the least I can do after all you have done for us. The king holds out the box to Waltz, who reaches out to take it. Waltz. Thank you, your majesty. Damn it! Damn it! Come on! Oh, I knew that they weren't going to be able to uncurse him immediately, but it bothers me. Voice. Look who we have here. We all freeze at the sound of a new voice. I turn and find an all too familiar figure leaning against the doorway, a mischievous grin on his face. Varg. What a sweet little reunion. Lucette. Varg? Dun dun dun! Oh no, that's sure a chapter title. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is a stressful point to leave off. I mean, it happens. It's not the most stressful chapter ending we've ever had. And it's only stressful because I want to know if Waltz is going to manage to uncurse himself before leaving the room. I really want Waltz's curse to get broken. Sooner rather than later. But yeah, this was still nice because it was like, not only did Lucette finally get the story about her mother, but like, in more detail than she had in any other run. So that was cool. So yeah, this was a fun chapter, and things are getting exciting already, and that was only chapter 5. There are 5 more chapters left after that, so man, if things keep apace, then this will be a very exciting route. So And yeah, I mean, now that we're halfway through, I think it is probably fair to say this is absolutely going to be my favorite route, hands down. Like, I've said it before, I think I probably even said it as recently as last week, but Fritz is my favorite love interest, but his route was extremely fraught, so it was not my favorite route. So this is an interesting thing where I think Waltz is my favorite route, and Fritz is my favorite love interest, so such is sometimes the way. Alright, well, I will be back at it this time. No, not next week. The week after next. So I should be streaming on the 26th. But I will not be available next Monday. So I will be taking a week off. And I will, I'll be taking most of the weekend off, actually. I will be doing my usual Friday afternoon NES stream for I'm really close to the end of Final Fantasy III, so that's exciting. But I won't be doing Friday night or anything over the weekend or next Monday, so. But then I will be back on a somewhat normal schedule, so. Alright, well, thank you so much. Thank you, Johnny, for hanging out and lurking. Thank you, anyone else who's been lurking. Thank you, anyone who's watching this later. I appreciate you all very, very, very much, and hope to see you folks at some point later.